But yeah, I have. I have been at war with the BGF. If you're around him, you're going to get indicted. So I'm not saying his story's untrue. I just don't remember it. A 65-year-old man trying to start a gang, which is ridiculous. And there's some things that I have no remorse about. Other things I do. The Lord of the underworld, the God of death. I might as well just whack you as a reminder of everything that I once was. My name is Rene Enriquez, and you are watching Uncensored. We're going to do something way different. We're going to do a Q&A because so many questions pour in. I mean, today alone, I think I got like 300 comments, right? So what I'd like to do is just pull comments and respond. The first one is double S300. How did Hugo die in 2012, but he has a mugshot in 2014? Well, I hate to be the one to break this news to you, but Hugo Pinell died in 2015, buddy. That's why he has a mugshot in 2014. Where did Joe Morgan die? In prison. Actually, he was taken to a prison hospital. And believe it or not, his wife was by his side when he died. He had inoperable cancer. He petitioned for a release for a compassionate discharge, which is allowable in the California Penal Code and the California Administrative Code. But you can bet your bottom dollar that nobody was going to let Joe Morgan out of prison, regardless of whether he was going to die or not. But his wife was there. And I just received notification that she passed like 2 years ago. So hopefully they're at their spot, wherever that is, heaven, or wherever, Nirvana, and they're together again. Next question is from @209stretch. Why'd you ditch the intro? That was the bee's knees. Well, I like the intro too. In fact, I posted it up as a short, so you guys that really need it, it's going to be there. We were thinking about putting it in as an outro, but then people would skip it because they know it. And that's the problem. So many people know the intro and they know the first 30 seconds of the video is the intro, so they'd skip the intro. That would affect the algorithm. And that's not good for the videos because once that happens repeatedly from viewers, I mean, let's say that 2,000 people love the intro and they watch it, but the other 20,000 who watch it, that they skip it, that affects our algorithm. And it's really bad for the videos. And if our algorithm is affected, YouTube will not push the videos out. So that's the simple answer in a nutshell. Why do certain parts of your video repeat? Well, those repeat sections are supposed to occur right after a commercial break to kind of give you a refresher as to where you left off at. Well, this is an editing technique that's being used now, and we're going to see how it works. Give us 30 days with this process. We're transitioning to a new editor, and he's doing a great job. He is doing an awesome job. I have no complaints at all. Aloha, Rene. I was curious, did you know Psycho Matt Hall? Looking forward to a story on him soon. I do not know Psycho Matt Hall, so I can't do an episode on him. I don't even know who the guy is. I'm assuming he's an AB guy, but that's straight assumption from your question. I don't know the guy, so I can't give you any information on the guy. The next one is from Son of Zebulun. Rene, I've always been curious. Why was Talamantes allowed to stay in San Quentin untouched by the Northerns and NF later on? Talamantes is probably because the Mexican Mafia was controlling San Quentin. After that uprising, everybody got slammed down, and the Mexican Mafia reassumed control of San Quentin, and it remained in Mexican Mafia control ever since. I don't know about now. I know now it's a level 1 or level 2 SNY. I don't know if they've integrated that in the non-designated housing program. I heard they put a cafe, a computer lab, an entertainment center. The whole place was like a college campus. It's like the crown jewel of Gavin Newsom. And he put like hundreds of millions of dollars in the inmate program in there. So I don't think the Mexican Mafia controls it anymore. Not even when the Carnales in death row were there. That once it transitioned to SMY, the Mexican Mafia had no influence on the yard whatsoever. I know when it was first transitioning to an SMY, it was a little rough and tumble. I heard about guys going there and that there were still actives on the yard and they had to clear the yard up. And it became completely SNY. But to answer your question in a nutshell, if Talamantes is on the yard, it's because the Mexican Mafia controlled the yard. Be sure to hit that like button. Go subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Become a member. You can support the team by buying a cup of coffee, or you can buy a book, Jesse Jam. Hey, I've only watched a few of your videos, but I was wondering if you were in gangs and prison. Were you guys involved in the occult, black magic, Satanism? To me, it seems likely that they're involved with dark spirituality, and if so, did it work? I'd appreciate if you could answer this, as I'm very curious. Thanks. You know, the only guy that I knew that was really into that was Stupi Hernandez. He told me he had a conversation with the devil in the cell one time. He was tweaking. He might have been hallucinating, but to him it was real, because he told the story to all of us, right? That the devil came to his cell and he had a full blown out conversation with him. That it scared him at first, but the devil just told him to give him bodies and he would be okay. And Tupi provided those bodies, believe it or not. That's one guy. And Cuate de Grajeda prayed to the Aztec gods. So I guess in a sense, yeah, there was a couple of brothers that did that. I don't know any others that were into the occult or black magic. I know that a lot of us had some experience with brujeria through our family and Catholicism, right? Some of those rituals in Catholicism come straight out of old pagan rituals. But the occult, I don't have any other knowledge other than Cuate and Tupi. Your second question says, Jesse Jam, I have a second question that you may not be able to answer. But do you think the CIA may have been involved and inside the MM and or any other prison gangs? I highly doubt that. Just from a logistical standpoint, right? For organized intelligence group or law enforcement agency to infiltrate a gang on the streets is very simple, right? They introduce an agent, typically a confidential informant, and that individual is provided a handler who debriefs them and extracts information and collects evidence. There have even been instances where real agents have been introduced into the gang. On a number of occasions in the investigations that I worked on, real ATF and DE agents went and did transactions with crew members. Real ATF and DE agents went and did transactions with crew members. Some even went to visit Mexican Mafia members. But to introduce an agent into the prison gang while incarcerated would require that the agent be incarcerated, number one. Number two, to become a member, he would have to participate in violent crime. So I highly doubt that that's possible. It's not possible, particularly the CIA. I don't think they would be involved at this level. I think now if it was a terrorist group, sure, but not for a prison gang. At Audi BL4QN. Thank you for finally making a video of the BGF. But have you ever gotten into war with them yourself? I have. In fact, in Folsom, I described a hit that I did after selling up with Negro Villalba. After I got out of the hole, I stabbed two of them. I stabbed really one and scratched the other one. But yeah, I was in war with them. I participated in war with the BGF. But it wasn't racial. It was just, hey, he had to go. They told me he had to go. He had to go. I didn't even know the guy. They just pointed him out and I did it. But yeah, I have. I have been at war with the BGF. The next one is from Billy Shatner. Billy Shatner, I get it. I get it. That's William Shatner from Star Trek. Billy Shatner, 88. How did he last this long in the Mafia? LOL, you have two options, debrief or say nothing and get a lawyer. You're talking about Chino Peanut Butter. You're commenting on the Sticky Situation episode that I aired. You know, Chino Ruiz, Chino Peanut Butter, was not the sharpest tool in the shed. I mean, you heard that whole interview where he's talking and he's thinking he's outsmarting the cops when all he had to do was say, I want to invoke the fifth and I want an attorney. That's all he had to do. But he did not. He rambled on and on and on. He had diarrhea of the mouth. And it was pretty bad. It was a pretty bad interview. He didn't incriminate anybody by himself. But it was a pretty bad interview. I mean, he didn't come out of that looking pretty. And a lot of people didn't even know it existed, right? And I ran it post-mortem after his death. Because it might have got him in a little jam. I don't really think so, because he didn't really say much. Unlike somebody else I'm going to do an episode on. That'll be coming shortly. Yep, it's a teaser and a cliffhanger at the same time. But Chino, I mean, he was really kind of a no account in the organization. Nobody took him seriously. He was just an old man. In fact, there was a camarada by the name of Flaco from Rivera. That was his cellie. Flaco was cellies with Chino, and Chino was a bully as a carnal. He would require that he get the opportunity to see Flaco's TV guide before Flaco gave it to anybody else in the pod to use. Because typically one guy would get a TV guide, then we pass it around, everybody copy what they're going to watch, their programs, and then they give it back to the owner, right? That way everybody gets a crack at the TV guide. Chino wanted it and wanted to bogart it to himself. So one day Flaco sent out his TV guide, and Chino got on him, just started bullying him, and Chino got tired and just lit him up, gave him black eyes. This is a camarada beating a carnal in the cell. It remained quiet. Much to Chino's credit, he did not tell anybody. I don't know if it was shame, but some of us found out about it. And because we knew Flaco so well, he got a pass. And he just said it straight out. The guy was bullying me, man. I'm a man, and I couldn't take it no more. And he explained the part about the TV guide, and everybody said, okay, cool. If Chino's not pushing the issue, we're not. And Flaco got a pass. I later saw Flaco from Rivera in Lancaster. He was on the honor yard, which was a PC yard, right? It was considered a PC yard. You couldn't stay there for more than 30 days, I think. That was the older rule. You couldn't be on that yard for more than 30 days. You had to find a target and eliminate them or try. But Flaco stayed there. and he was still in touch with some cardenales. And I was happy when I saw him that he was there, that he was programming. He looked a little apprehensive when he saw me, but I was happy to see the guy because he'd always been, a good dude to me, and I always been a good dude to him. Never did him wrong, he never did me wrong. But I was happy he survived that whole incident too. I think he was in contact with Psycho Aguirre, and Psycho Aguirre was a good friend of his. And Psycho was the one that was pushing that he get a pass for this whole incident. But yeah, Cheeto Peanut Butter was never really this titan in the organization. He was quiet. He wasn't smart. He was an old man. He got washed up for ODing in the Chino State Prison a couple days before his parole. He shot some heroin. He overdosed in the cell less than a week before his release, and they had to revive him. Officers from CDC came into the cell. They revived him, administered Narcan, took him to the hospital, and then charged him with constructive possession of heroin because it was in his system. And they struck him out behind it. So he came back to Pelican Bay like, you effing dummy. You're going to get out of prison and you OD and get a life sentence before you even get parole. And that's how he was kind of viewed, right? Once he got out, like he became a big shot in Mexico. He was working with the cartels. All the cardenales saw him as a senior statesman. And it really shocked me. It really shocked me because he wasn't that smart. I mean, you heard the interviews. I've done a few of them. You can go back and see one of them is called Sticky Situation. And we affectionately named him Stutter Butter because he stutters a lot in that interview. And we called him Stutter Butter instead of Peanut Butter. So I don't know how he survived, right? I don't know how he survived in the organization. But he did, and he died a natural death. He died in Mexico, and I've done a couple episodes on that. The next question is from Nilla Float. If your parents had decided to move and relocate, do you think that would have made any difference in how things turned out? I know your father had his business, but was that ever an option? I mean, I apologize if you'd answered this before. No need to apologize, bro. That's what our comment section is for. It's to engage, right? That's why I love you guys so much, because you guys pour comments in. And I try to respond to all of them. I can't possibly answer them all. The best time to get me is in the morning. If you're one of the first ones comment in the morning, you're probably going to get a response. Midday, I come back, do it again at nighttime, one more time before I go to bed. But there are hundreds of comments, right? But I encourage you guys to make comments because I'm going to get to you sooner or later. Just keep commenting. I'll get to you sooner or later. At the very least, I give you a heart to let you know that I personally read your message. I have personally read your message. And I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. If you're talking ish, gangbanging, or being disrespectful, your comment won't see the light of day. So don't waste your time. So to answer your question, if my parents had decided to relocate, I think it might have. So to answer your question, if my parents had decided to relocate, I think it might have. We wouldn't have had that environmental influence. I mean, if we were living out in the sticks in a ranch or a farm, I don't think that we would have been exposed to the gangs. It was my brother that was exposed to the gangs, and I followed his footsteps. I mean, there were gangs everywhere. It was a nice area, Cerritos, California, and there were no gangs there at the time. There were brand new tract homes, bedroom community. It's a nice place, right? Anybody would love to raise their kids there. But at the time, there weren't gangs. But in adjacent cities, there were. I think that was the influence. Once it got a hold of my brother, it got a hold of me. Had they moved, and I think they had the ability to move, but my dad had multiple businesses in California. He had resin craft decorating industries, O'Kay's Liquor. They had commercial real estate. They owned land in Barstow and Lancaster, like a lot of land. And so the locus of his empire was there. I don't think he would have left because that's all he knew was California. Of course, he was born in Arizona, and that might have been an option. He ended up buying a ranch out there in his later years before his passing, but that was far too late. We were already in prison. It might have made a difference. I think it could have, but I don't know. I can't read tea leaves. The next one is from Robert Delgado-D2U. Rene, can you please do a video on gentrification, Mexican American assimilation, and secondary opportunities, i.e. college and trade schools have shrank? What would have been the top cream of the crop recruits that the Mexican Mafia could have chosen from, leading to a more impulsive, less strategic, savvy approach in regards to long-term organizational rackets and operational security? Stay blessed. Sincerely, Robert. Yeah, that is definitely a run-on sentence, bro. Let's talk about gentrification. Gentrification is huge. It's everywhere. I came to Southern California to do a conference, right? And part of that was stopping by a local PD. And in doing so, I drove down Norwalk Boulevard. And it was completely Indian, not Native American, but Indian. That was never the case. I remember Sonora's restaurant, all those other establishments that were there were no longer. And you can go anywhere, East Los Angeles, downtown LA, there's gentrification everywhere. I think that's just economics. I don't think that that's part of a bigger, grander conspiracy. That's just people snapping up property. So look at the Chinese. They bought property everywhere. Asians are everywhere. And that's not racist. That's just a reality, right? People are that have the financial means are snapping up property, which is the core of gentrification, right? Let's see, secondary opportunities, trade school. I think that those opportunities are still there. I don't think they've shrunken at all. I think that that's not a word, shrunken. Yeah, that's me being a literate fuck. I don't think that they've diminished at all. They're still there. There's still city colleges, and there are colleges and trade schools. There are all these opportunities and all these organizations in place to provide resources to people. I think that what has diminished is the desire for from some people, to accomplish these goals because it takes dedication, right? To go out and get a degree, a 4-year degree, and then go on to get an advanced degree and a master's and a doctorate. It takes a lot of work, right? And a lot of money. But some people have no money and they succeed because they dedicate themselves to it, working 2 jobs, getting student loans, and doing it. So I don't think that the opportunities have evaporated. Absolutely not. I think tuitions have raised, which prices some people out. Economics have changed in the United States greatly, particularly in this economy. It's hard on people, right? But those opportunities are still there. In fact, if a dude can go to prison and get a bachelor's, how come somebody on the streets can't do it? Because there's guys getting bachelors all day long in prison. They were handing out associates like it was candy. I knew a guy that had 6 associate degrees in different disciplines, right? I went to college in prison. I didn't matriculate, but I went to college. I took a bunch of courses. And I remember a time where I had to pay that. I had to pay for the courses, the individual courses. Then you had to get a proctor to do your exam. I remember that time where they didn't provide college, but when I got to SMY, college programs were like crazy. So if those opportunities are there for prisoners and they can capitalize on the very limited resources that exist within an incarcerated setting, then why can't people do that out here? I think that's an important point you made. I think that's more of a liberal position, that opportunities have been diminished and resources have been reduced, and that it specifically affects people of color. I don't think that at all. I think that those opportunities and those resources still exist if you really seek them out and you really want them. And the last part of your question, which is really a shotgun question, bro. You know what a shotgun question is? When you ask more than one question in one question. Okay, I don't really get this part. Mexican Mafia could have chosen from leading to a more impulsive, less strategically savvy approach in regards to long-term organizational goals, rackets, and operational security. Savvy approach in regards to long-term organizational goals, rackets, and operational security. I think that's always been the Mexican Mafia's flaw. They're still impulsive. They're less strategic. And there are no real long-term goals in the organization. It's just about money. It's just about money. And that's always been the organization's problem, because the infighting, the dissension within the organization, the politicking, the elimination of members. Who eliminates members? Members eliminate members. They're the apex predators. So they have no real enemy that victimizes them. They victimize themselves. That's always been the organization's problem. I hope that answered your very complex question. Okay, Michael G B5D. How do I buy a signed copy of The Black Hand? Give me a heads up, por favor. Well, there's a QR code. You can go there and buy a signed copy, authentically signed by me, with a personally written note within that inscription on our Buy a Cup of Coffee page. We're also going to create a page here. One is in existence now, Buy a Cup of Coffee. You can go there and get a book. And unlike that past site, these are shipped immediately. They are signed and shipped immediately. You're not going to be waiting weeks and weeks and weeks and months. I can't tell you the number of emails that I got about people that had never received their copies. And I got to tell you, folks, if you made a purchase from www.realreneenriquez.com, I'm going to say it again. René Enriquez Uncensored has no affiliation with them. It is now a defunct channel, and there is a way and a recourse for you if you sent money, if you paid for something. You can dispute that purchase and you will be refunded. So I'm giving you a heads up. If you made a purchase and didn't receive the product that you purchased, please dispute that charge because I don't want to be associated with it. I said it like multiple times here. I'll continue to say it until everybody gets their money back because we're not about that. We're not about scamming people. We are not about shorting people on what they have coming. Now, that's not how this channel was established and it's not how it's going to exist. I'm not saying that the previous managers of that site were scamming people. I'm just saying that it's now defunct and that WooCommerce has a mechanism by which individuals who feel that they didn't receive the represented product that they purchased, they have recourse for people who made those purchases to be refunded in full. So please, it's a couple of clicks, file a dispute, claim that you didn't get your product and get your money back. But if you want one legit, signed by me with a personalized note, click on that QR code that we have here and I'll get you a copy out. Well, actually, I just sign and then my editor manager has them shipped. So I do it weekly and he ships weekly. So if you want one, get one. They're there. While supplies last. Okay, and the next one is from Luis Calasdia 5028. Buenos dias, Don Rene. Send please some saludos for us truck drivers. I listen to the podcast on my trips from El Paso to Albuquerque. It's to all the truck drivers, bro. That's why this is a long form today. For the truck drivers, the miners, the longshoremen, the line workers, the stay-at-home moms, the clerks, the hubbies who are out of a job. It's for all of you people there that I make these videos, right? So saludos to the truckers, man. Truckers are the life's blood of this channel. All you guys listen in your long hauls, and I appreciate it. But everybody does. There's a bunch of people that enjoy that long form content. And we're trying to make them each at least 30 minutes long. So we hope you guys recognize that. You guys asked for it. We're doing it. And we'll do it as long as we can. As much as we can. That's a given. There you go, brother. Okay, the next one is to Vato Loco 8482. The question is not why Fonzie allows this to happen. The real question should be why does the rest of the membership allow Fonzie to continue with this with no repercussions? I don't know. I have no idea. I know that Fonzie is allowing other Mexican Mafia members to get a toehold in Fresno, and that might be part of a strategy by allowing other Mexican Mafia members to share in his territory. It bolsters his political power in opposition of Mike Boo. That's what I realized. I'm looking at it from, as George W. Bush put it, strategery, right? He's using strategery. That guy was an illiterate fuck. He couldn't speak his way out of a paper bag. So that's what I think. He's using strategy by incorporating a block of members who assist him in controlling Fresno. He's enhancing his political power in opposition to Mike Boo. And Mike Boo has stated himself that he's retired, that he no longer wants part of the ruckus. And I think that he's being allowed to do that. I'm not certain if that's true or not. That's just the scuttlebutt. That's the rumor that Mike Boo has taken a back seat and he doesn't want to go back to prison or get indicted, which is a smart move on his part. It's good for you, Mike. If that's true, good for you. Stay away. You don't need to go back. You're an old man now. Live the rest of your life in peace with your grandkids, bro. Let Fonzie go back because he'll definitely go back. His son will get him put there. Okay, next question. At Mike_nuts. Do you think the H helped you get through those years being stuck in the shoe? Do you think you could have lasted back there all those years without it? Yeah, I could have lasted without it. I wouldn't have liked it, but yeah, it was escapism. You know what? It really boils down to self-medication, right? Self-medicating. We're in pain, so people use drugs as a form of self-medicating, right? They want to kill the pain. People drink, people use pills, people smoke weed, people use opiates. I use whatever, you know? I use whatever came, I would use it, right? But a heroin was my drug of choice, and it definitely helped me escape. I remember there were occasions where I woke up after a few days being on a run, right? So loaded that I just wake up and it was like a Thursday. And I had started getting high on the previous Friday. And I was like, whoa, what happened? I remember on one occasion I came out of it and it was a morning and I looked up and there was the tsunamis had hit. And I said, what is that? And they said, yeah, it's been going on for 2 days. Somebody told me the tsunamis hit and they killed a couple 100,000 people. And I slept through the whole thing, or nodded through the whole thing rather. But I think that I could have. I mean, I've done plenty of time sober in the shoe. It wasn't like it was helping me do time. I was going to do the time no matter what. I don't know how to answer that really. Like, it didn't help me do shoe time. I just enjoyed getting high, right? And when we didn't have it, we worked out and, did crossword puzzles and all the normal stuff shoe prisoners do. So we assimilated immediately back into the regular program if we didn't have drugs. So it was an escape. It was an escape. And everybody did it in the pod. We would have the whole pod loaded because we had that much dope. And we would give some out in visits. We'd send some to other pods. All the camaradas got some, right? And yeah, it was an escape for us. I don't think it helped me do shoot time, though. I would have did the shoot time no matter what. Okay, next one. Cholo Engao. I wonder who launched such a successful political campaign on Mike Boo and the Moreno dynasty. Seems strange they picked the Bulldogs over the Morenos. I think that the whole thing was brought about by Fox, right? Fox had a beef with Mike Moreno and Fox politics on everybody. That was the genesis of it, right? I remember listening to calls between Mike Boo and a couple other brothers where they specifically talk about Fox being upset at them. And that's where it started because Mike was squeaky clean before that. And he never encountered politics. Jesse Pelon never got politicked on. And then Fox happened. Fox was just terrible for the organization. Still is. I don't know how this little Uncle Fester guy, what the Fox Tapia, got so much power. He's not smart. He's not a businessman. He's loud. He's boisterous. He's a braggart. He's egocentric. He's all these different things that are horrible for like discretion within the organization. And then he gets a lot of people tossed up. Like, he's a wave of indictment. If you're around him, you're going to get indicted. He doesn't care either. He didn't care for anybody. He just got them indicted. So many people got washed up and ruined their lives behind him. I could say this. I didn't get anybody indicted. Just my crimies. If they went and did something, we're getting indicted because we chose to do that hit. But all these other people, they just got sucked into it. That's where it started for Mike Boo. That was the genesis of his political campaign, right? And then Tommy Moreno. Tommy Moreno chose to testify. And I'm going to do an episode on this. I'm going to break down his testimony for you and tell you where it went wrong and part of this Moreno campaign. So we're going to get into that. And I don't think that they picked the Bulldogs over the Morenos. That's Palomino, and he's doing for his son. He doesn't want his son to get whacked. So he affords them that latitude to do what they do, unregulated. You saw the video. I mean, a lot of people say that about the Bulldogs. They're despised everywhere. And I'm not throwing shade. I'm not casting shade on the Bulldogs. They do what they do. They opposed all organizations. And they did that. So you got to give them that credit. They stood on their own. And Crackers Vindiola is the one that originated with the concept, right? So got to give him credit. But he was already out. He was already dropped out, He just wanted an army behind him to back him up against the NF. I'm not casting shade on the Bulldog. They're unruly and they're despised everywhere. Nobody likes them. Not Norteños, not Sureños, not AB. Nobody likes them because they cannot be controlled. That's what it is. They cannot be controlled. And I think part of this, Fonzie's association with them is because his son's one. And he wants to protect the son. Next question. Ant D103. Hey, Rene, did you know Big Eddie Neves, Fresno Northerner, who did not break off and become independent? He's a little bit older than you. Said he played chess with you in the shoe, calling the moves out of the cell. He did like 30 plus years altogether. I do not remember him. I do not remember him. I strong possibility that I played with him. I was in a pod with him somewhere. I used to play chess, but I don't remember him specifically. So I'm not saying his story's untrue. I just don't remember it. So I couldn't give you a more detailed answer, brother. The next question. Man, if there were a cat gang, I would move to the U.S. just to join. Get the F out of here, bro. I just thought it was comical. A cat gang? Really, a cat gang. I'll tell you, they got every form of gang in the SMY. So if you want to join a weird gang, go over there. They got Gay Boy Gangsters. They got the New Flowers. They got the Zapatistas, the Two Fibers, Brothers by Choice, the Juggalos. They got, like, you ever see the movie Warriors? All these different gangs on roller skates were coming out with these weird names, and they'd have all these funny little uniforms. That's SMY with all those warrior gangs. They got all kinds of gangs that come up and exist for 6 months and then disband. Even Stump tried to form one. Stump, Angel Valencia, wanted to form one called Los Amigos, which is ridiculous. A 65-year-old man trying to start a gang. But that was his intellect, right? And that's the intellect of some of these gangs, that they feel, I guess, marginalized when they leave, whatever they left, and they want to go over there and they can finally become something because they couldn't become real carnales in any of the organizations. They couldn't. So they go over there and it's the land of reinvention. I say SNY is the land of reinvention. Guys go over there and they reinvent themselves into completely different things. Some good in the rehabilitative process, but a lot of them bad. They become these PC gangsters, right? And I heard rumors and people asked me if I had ever joined one. I had nothing to do with those guys, nothing whatsoever. They didn't like me. I didn't like them. They didn't bother me, and I didn't bother them. And I'm glad they didn't. I didn't want no problems. But I'm pretty damn sure they didn't want no problems either, because it would have been bad. If somebody's going to get me caught up in a fist fight, that's as good as a life sentence because the parole board would have denied me. And I was serious about it. I told people, look, I don't want any problems, bro. But please don't bring me any problems because then it's going to be a real problem. Because if I get a 115 over you, then we're going to have a real problem. I might as well just whack you, and I really meant it. I really, truly meant it because they would have washed me up, my parole. I never would have got out if they would have bothered me because I would have had to do something. They would have forced me to do something. And I'm so glad they didn't. Next question. Good afternoon, Rene. Can you explain the tattoo on your right shoulder? Mictlantecutli. That's the Lord of the underworld, the god of death, right? That's what it is. It's a stylized version, right? But that's who it represents. That's what it is. It's a stylized version, right? But that's who it represents. And that's Shika deity and the Lord of, I think, the 9th level of the underworld. And that's who he is. I decided I'm going to keep him as a reminder of everything that I once was. And yeah, I'll never get rid of him because I never want to forget what I did. Like I told a bunch of people, I'm not perfect, right? And there's some things that I have no remorse about. Other things I do. I truly do. But I'd be a liar if I told you that I have remorse for everything. Okay, next question. Hector Munoz 578. Oh, yeah, dude. This is Hector Munoz 578. Great podcast. Shout out to my lady Sandy. Sandy, I don't know who you are, but every day your hubby or your man shouts out to you on my channel. So this is a shout out to you from René Enriquez Uncensored. Hector Munoz loves you. Apparently, recognize that fact. There you go, brother. That was just for you and just for Sandy. True Crime with Sandman. Hey, René, much respect. Do you ever speak to anyone who did time with Danny Trejo? If so, do you guys ever talk about him? No, I don't speak to anybody that's in his circle. I don't really talk to anybody. I don't have friends. I got a couple of cop buddies that, I go to dinner with or they come to my house that are retired, that live in my area. So not many of them out here. So my circle is small. And I don't really want to hang out with a bunch of ex-convicts. I don't. I know a lot of people do. They seek out that support group. I just don't. I don't want it. And I never was a big fan of that, right? That reentry support group with people who have dysfunctional behaviors, right? Because I still got some, and I don't want those exacerbated. I still got flaws and character flaws. Real deal, bro. I'm not perfect, and I'll be the first to admit that. But I don't want to exacerbate my character defects by surrounding myself with other people who have character defects because they bring out the worst in you, right? They do. At Donister, why do you like the word Chicano? Please explain. I would love to hear it because it means something in the streets. Yeah, I think it does mean something to you guys in the streets. I am not a Chicano. That's an ethnic label. And it's derived from the word chicanery, which means untrustworthy, deceitful, cheating, like cheating, right? And it's diminutive. It's Chicano. That's small, like not Mexicano, right? I saw something that says that the Mexican Constitution, I think it's Article 14, that says that if your parents were born in Mexico, you are a Mexican citizen. So you're Mexican, right? You're Mexican. Before all the social scientists pop out of the woodwork and tell me that's a nationality and not an ethnicity, because I know we're mestizos. We are mestizos. That means like we're a mixture of races, including African American blood. There's Jewish blood, German blood. There's Indian blood, right? The real Indians, the Mexica, the Tolteca, the Olmeca. We are a mixture of races, which came to be our beautiful race, Mexicanos, right? And you'd have to be a fool not to understand that. So, but I'm proud of my lineage and my heritage. So I'm not going to call myself a Chicano, a Latino, a Latinx, none of those things. None of those things. In fact, those are all ethnic labels created by I don't know who, the census, whoever. But even on my birth certificate, it lists me as a Caucasian because they didn't have Mexican back in the day. They didn't have Hispanic. They didn't have none of that. All that's a newfound creation of political correctness, right? And I'm just not down with that word. I know there was a big movement, brown berets, Chicano pride, all that. I'm not down with it, bro. And nothing's going to make me down with it. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit that thumbs up, and hype this video, folks. Make sure you watch each video in its entirety. It's important for the channel. It's the best support you can give us. Don't skip. Just watch the video in its entirety. Even if you got to walk away because you're busy, let the video run. That's a great support. But there's a lot of other ways to support the video. You know what to do. You know where we're at. You know what we got. Go there. Subscribe, like, become a member, buy merch. All right, folks. We'll be back Friday with the live, 5 p.m. Same bad time, same bad channel. Do not forget. Do not miss it. It's going to be better than ever. Get your IPAs and your pistos ready, because we're going to knock back a few together. It's our way to virtually have a few beers together. And I really enjoy doing this, folks. Know that I truly enjoy doing the lives more than I like doing this right here. I enjoy this as well. But the lives are just something different. It's our bonding time. All right, folks. Stay safe. Peace out.